I was gonna say that I think the problem is that I think the goal should be contentment, and as opposed to goal to being happy, because I think with contentment, when you're content, you're fulfilled. It's like a state of being, right? So, but with happiness, to me, it seems as like it's more of an emotion, or a feeling, and we know that that can never be sustained on a everyday, day-to-day basis. So when you go through those downs in a relationship, in any relationship, whether it's friendship, marriage, you have those ups and downs. But if you're content, even the even through those downs, it's not like you're not fulfilled. So when you're seeking to have contentment as a state of being versus happiness, I think you'll be okay in a marriage. And I think the problem is that a lot of times, as women, I believe that we do go in situations with the expectation that the husband is supposed to make us happy, and nobody can make you happy, so to speak. You already have to have that in yourself. Find things, or things that is going to give you a level of happiness and contentment, so when you do hit those hard times, that you're not looking for the divorce papers, like, I'm just no longer happy anymore. So I think our focus on the happiness is too high on the priority list of marriage.
But who taught you that? Who taught you to think that men are supposed to make you happy? You know, that you meet them. Who has taught women this idea that once they find this man, it's supposed to make them happy?
I'll
I
tell
think
you.
Where does that come from?
I don't think. I think it's more along the line of mistaken. I don't think. And sorry, y'all, if I keep looking up. It's just that we're on the bad weather watch, so I have to look at the news at the same time. But I don't think. I think, like Mistaken said, I don't think people are actually going like, "Oh, I want him to make me happy."
Mhm.
I think that people want to be content, but the thing that turns it off is if you're overworked or you're unhappy emotionally because he's just not fulfilled. Women are emotional creatures. We love to be loved. We like a little bit of attention, and I think the word happiness may be the wrong word to use, maybe underappreciated, or it's not underappreciated, but appreciated, or emotionally content, something of that nature. So I don't want to focus so much on happiness. I just use that because people say happiness, but I think it's more than just happiness. I think it's
Satisfied.
You said what?
I don't know.
What about satisfied?
Yeah,
Satisfied.
exactly. Fulfilled,
Satisfied.
satisfaction, all of those things are what you're looking for in a
Kind of
marriage.
like a male's peace, but it's a female version of peace.
I don't know about the other
Secure.
gentlemen on the I don't know about the other gentlemen on the panel, but I personally feel a sense of gratification whenever my duties and obligations are fulfilled. Like the, like I don't know about happiness, but there's definitely a sense of gratification once I've done and accomplished the things that I'm trying to do and accomplish, whether it be in a relationship or any other facet of life. Like the happiness doesn't necessarily really enter into it. It's about fulfilling my obligations and duties and getting the gratification from knowing that it is a job well done. I don't know how the other gentlemen feel about that, but that's kind of what I get in just normal life.
Yeah, I just think too many words are synonymous with other words like
How's-
contentment, happiness, satisfied. A lot of these things kind of like
It's
go hand.
not.
But I
I
don't
think that's the
understand.
problem.
I guess I'm confused on why everyone is trying to take them out. Why is it such a big deal to take happiness out and say, oh, it's not happiness, it's content? Why can't we add words instead of taking them out, or add feelings instead of taking them out, and say, when people say my husband makes me happy, why is it so negative? Like, why can't that be a good thing? He makes you happy. Let's add that in. He makes me content. Let's add that in. Things of that nature. Why are we always taking it out? Happiness, as if you can't have happiness, you can't be content. Like, you want all of those things added into it.
I don't.
So
I don't think not having happiness is the issue. What the issue is that at any given point, if you're not happy or you rely on your feelings too much, you then walk out of stuff that has been perfectly serving you. But it's like we all know feelings are fleeting. So the thing is that that's the reason why when you hear brothers talk about marriage, we usually approach it with duty because we take our feelings out. Because of the truth of the matter is, a lot of brothers stay in a lot of relationships they shouldn't because of duty. Versus when the roles is reversed, a lot of women don't stay in a lot of relationships because of feelings, not because of duty. So it's not an issue that you want to be happy. It's not an issue that you want to be content, that you want to serve and be served. It's not an issue that you want to have a successful relationship that can make life easier. But if you rely too much on your feelings, you may do some things that doesn't serve the relationship, and that's why I think a lot of relationships break up.
But I think that's a deeper issue than just happiness. Like when people say, I'm just not happy anymore, I don't think it's really like they're just relying on their feelings. It's much more deeper than that. There's a bigger issue, something else that needs to be solved between the communication between the two. I don't think I think the word that they're using is happiness to justify it. And so people are so used to this word happiness saying, I'm just not happy anymore. And so now people say not to rely on your happiness. But I think it's a bigger issue when people say that they're just not happy anymore. It's not happiness that they're missing. It's something much deeper.
So Penny,
So
let
I
me
think
ask you a question real quick. So when you think of happiness, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Any of you ladies, what when you think of happiness in your relationship, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Laughter. Um,
a feeling of, I guess, being elated. Um, I For me, I think I had told y'all before, one of our panels, that I remember asking my husband, "Is he happy?" And he said, "No,
right.
I'm fulfilled." And at first, I got upset because I'm like, "I don't make you happy." Like, I'm thinking along those lines, like, "Why don't I make you happy?" And he was just like, he's like, "I have happy moments."
Mhm.
And when he was breaking it down, he was just like, "Yeah, there are experiences and stuff that we had that I was happy, that I'm happy. But in general terms, when I look through the years of our marriage, I can say that I was more fulfilled." And as I begin to like think about it, I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, that's more consistent." And that's why I think that's why I made the statement that I did, and that's exactly what contentment is fulfilled. So he's content with moments of happiness, and I think that's typically what happened. It's not that people are taking it out, but I think a lot of times people think that they're supposed to stay on happy mode throughout the duration of a lifetime, and that's just not the case.
It's not possible, and we don't know what happiness is unless we have the contrast and the opposite. And I think what gets women in particular in trouble is when they don't feel happy, but they think that that means something's wrong. And that doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means you're not on that high low dip, which that's not sustainable anyway. It's kind of like just that false sense of pleasure. If you are, getting pleasure from food, so then you have to eat something to get that pleasure again. And then eventually it's going to level out. It's not going to be enough. So I just want to add that in there, that you don't want to be happy all the time. Like if your spouse's, mom passes away or something, you don't want to be happy. Are you going to think that's a problem then?